a single act of kindness can echo through generations. The hand you help today may one day become the hand that saves your life. In a small, forgotten village surrounded by dusty roads and old wooden houses, lived a young girl named Sofia and her mother Alina. They were very poor. Their tiny home had a leaking roof, cracked walls, and only one weak stove that barely warmed the room during winter nights. But despite the poverty, the house was filled with something many rich homes lacked: love. Alina was a widow. Her husband had died many years earlier in an accident at a construction site. Since that day, she had carried the entire weight of life on her shoulders alone. Every morning before sunrise, Alina walked to a sewing factory in the nearby town. She spent long hours sitting beside loud machines, sewing clothes until her fingers became swollen and numb. And when evening came, while others rested with their families, Alina cleaned houses to earn a little more money. Every coin she earned had only one purpose: Sofia's education. "Study hard, my daughter," Alina would whisper every night while rubbing her tired hands. Education is the only thing poverty cannot steal. Sofia loved her mother deeply. She saw the pain hidden behind her tired smile. She saw the exhaustion in her eyes. And every night when her mother returned home barely able to walk, Sofia felt her heart break a little more. One evening, while they shared a small bowl of soup, Sofia looked at her mother seriously and said, "Mom, one day I will become a doctor." Alina smiled softly. "I know you will. When I become a doctor," Sofia continued, "you will never work again. I will buy you a beautiful house. I will take care of you forever." Slowly filled Alina's eyes, not because of the dream, but because her daughter still believed in hope despite growing up in hardship. Alina gently touched Sofia's hair. "You are already the greatest gift God gave me." From that day on, Sofia studied harder than ever. She woke up early to read books before school. She listened carefully during every lesson. And after returning home, she cleaned the house, cooked dinner, and helped her mother however she could. While other children played outside, Sofia sat beside an old lamp solving science problems and reading medical books borrowed from school. Her teachers admired her. "She has something special," they often said. Years passed. Then one terrible day changed everything. At the sewing factory, a large metal part from one of the machines suddenly broke loose. Before Alina could move away, it crashed directly toward her face. The workers screamed. Blood covered the floor. Alina was rushed to the hospital. Sofia arrived trembling with fear. Her mother survived, but her eyes were severely damaged. For weeks, Alina remained in the hospital. And when she finally returned home, she was no longer the strong woman Sofia once knew. She sat silently near the window and cried for hours. "My dreams are over," Alina whispered one night. "I can barely see anymore. I cannot work. I cannot help you finish school." Sofia knelt beside her mother and held her hands tightly. "Don't say that," she said firmly. "You gave your whole life for me. Now it is my turn." Next day, Sofia made a decision. After school, she began walking through villages and nearby towns selling homemade soap and small household items. Every day she carried a heavy bag from door to door. Sometimes people bought from her. Sometimes they ignored her. Some even laughed at her, but Sofia never stopped. Rain or snow, cold or heat, she kept going. The money was barely enough, but somehow she managed to continue paying for school. Then came the hardest moment of all, her final exam fee. Without paying it, Sofia would not be allowed to graduate. It was her last chance to reach her dream. But that week, almost nobody bought anything. Day after day, she returned home with nearly empty pockets. She skipped meals to save money. Her face became pale. Her legs felt weak from exhaustion. One evening, hungry and hopeless, Sofia stood before the last house on the street. She stared at the door for several seconds. "This is probably useless too," she whispered, but with her remaining strength she knocked. An old woman slowly opened the door. She had kind eyes and silver hair. "Child," the woman said gently, "you look exhausted. Please come inside." Smell of warm soup filled the room. Sofia had not eaten properly for days. The old woman placed food before her and watched quietly as the girl tried not to cry while eating. Then she softly asked, "What happened to?" For the first time in a long while, Sofia told someone everything about her father, her mother's accident, the endless work, her dream of becoming a doctor. and the final school fee she could not afford. The old woman listened in complete silence. Shock filled her eyes. When Sofia finished speaking, the woman slowly stood up, walked to a drawer, and returned with an envelope. She placed it in Sofia's trembling hands. "There is enough money for your exams," she said softly. "And a little extra, buy something nice for yourself and your mother." Sofia froze. Why would you help me?" The old woman smiled warmly. "Because sometimes God sends people to help each other," rolled down Sofia's face. She fell to her knees and kissed the woman's hands. Thank you, thank you." That night, Sofia ran home happier than she had been in months. On the way, she bought a small chocolate bar to share with her mother and medicine to ease the pain in her mother's eyes. When Alina saw the medicine and heard what happened, she broke down crying. She looked toward heaven and whispered, "Thank you for not abandoning us." Years later, Sofia graduated with honors. Then she entered medical school. The journey was difficult. Many nights she slept only a few hours. Many times she wanted to give up, but every time she remembered her mother's sacrifices and the kindness of the old woman. Those memories pushed her forward. Eventually, Sofia became a doctor. Not just any doctor, one of the best young doctors in the city hospital. And the first thing she did with her earnings was arrange surgery for her mother's eyes. The operation lasted several hours. Sofia waited outside, praying silently. Finally, the doctor came out smiling. The surgery was successful. When the bandages were removed days later, Alina slowly opened her eyes. For the first time in years, she could see clearly again. She looked at her daughter and cried with joy. "You kept your promise." Sofia hugged her tightly. "You kept yours first." Life finally became peaceful, but one day fate brought the past back again. An elderly woman was rushed into Sofia's hospital with severe pneumonia. Her condition was critical. As Sofia entered the room, she suddenly froze. It was her. The old woman who once opened her door to a starving girl. The woman who had saved her future. Sofia immediately ordered the best treatment possible. The nurses and doctors worked tirelessly. After several days, the old woman slowly recovered. Some colleagues were confused. "Why are we giving so much attention to this patient?" one doctor whispered. "She looks poor. She probably cannot even pay for this treatment." Sofia looked at them calmly. "Many years ago," she said softly, "when I had nothing. This woman saved my life too." The room fell silent. The doctors were deeply moved. From that moment on, everyone treated the old woman with extraordinary care and kindness. Finally, the day came for her discharge. A nurse handed the woman an envelope. Her hands trembled. She thought it was the hospital bill. Fear filled her eyes as she slowly opened it. But inside were only a few words. "Your bill has already been paid in full," instantly streamed down her face. At that moment, Sofia entered the room wearing her white doctor's coat. The old woman stared at her in shock. "It was you," she whispered. Sofia smiled warmly. "Yes, I was the hungry girl who once knocked at your door with nothing left." The old woman stood up and embraced her tightly. "I never forgot you," she cried. "And I never forgot your kindness," Sofia replied. Sometimes people think kindness is small. A meal, a few words, a helping hand, a little support in someone's darkest moment. But kindness is never small, because the right help at the right moment can change an entire life. And sometimes, it comes back when you need it most. Moral of the story: never underestimate the power of kindness. A single act of compassion can create a miracle that travels farther than you will ever see.